So in this video, I want to introduce you to a concept called, or that I've coined the phrase, lead with the switch. Lead with the switch. Well, first of all, let's talk about the definition of switch. Let's back up. Lead. Lead means begin with, start with. A switch in the car business is typically the idea that we're going to switch them, if you will, from car A to car B. We're going to offer them an alternative to their original selection. And traditionally in the car business, when we did that, we typically would do that as quote unquote a last ditch effort. So we'd use the switch as the last ditch, meaning we typically don't introduce the idea of alternative vehicles until we've landed them on a car, maybe test drive a vehicle, maybe appraise their trade-in, maybe we've worked some numbers, maybe we've figured out some monthly payments for the customers. And at that point, or somewhere along that path, we start to come to the realization that this car may not be the right car for them based upon a variety of criteria. It might not be the right car for them because the price is more than they can afford for the cash buyer, or the payment's more than they can afford for a payment buyer, or maybe it won't fit in the garage. But there's a variety of reasons. But typically when we offer the switch, we offer it as a last-ditch effort to try to put some kind of a deal together, to try to sell this customer something because the car that they're on is not working. And so when we use it as a last-ditch effort, it's been my experience that the customer sniffs out our motivation. They start to realize, or they start to come to the realization that we're not offering this alternative vehicle to help them. We're doing it for our benefit. We're trying to switch them just so we can sell them something. And as a result, sometimes the switch becomes a conflict with the customer, or the customer feels like we're trying to pull one over on them or do something that isn't in their best interest. Now, whether that's the truth or not is not the point of the conversation regarding using the switch as the last ditch. What I want to teach you is the concept of using the switch as a way to lead the deal, to lead with the switch, to begin with the switch. And so knowing that statistically, they say 70 to 80% of the car shoppers do not buy the car they set out to buy. They choose something bigger, smaller, different color, SUV, car, SUV. They change their payments, they change their price. So they will change their mind along the way, and we want to help give them that opportunity from the beginning. So we're going to lead with the switch. So how do we do that as an example? So really quickly, one way in the phone up conversation, instead of answering the question of availability with a yes or no, we're going to put the customer on hold. And I'll give you a quick example of that. The customer calls the dealership and says, I was on your website and saw you had a red Toyota Camry. Can you tell me if it's still available? If I know it's there as a salesperson, or I know it's not there, maybe I just sold it, maybe I test drove it earlier, I saw it on the lot, I know whether it's there or not. If I were to jump on that question and try to answer that with a yes or no, at this point, I could lose the customer. So I will teach you in the next video how to answer that question quickly, confidently, and to their satisfaction, all the while opening up the opportunities, opening up the availability to this car, to this customer, for a variety of cars that not only meet their needs, but also maybe meet their wants. And we're going to help them to discover that maybe the car they called on may or may not be the right car, but we've got lots of options for them, and we'd like to introduce those options up front. So lead with the switch. We'll talk about that in the next video.